Welcome to episode 289, Chris Wanstrath, from college dropout to self-made billionaire. This is an outline of episode 289. There are 4 reasons why we study Chris Wanstrath. First, the acquisition of GitHub by Microsoft in June 2018 is a seismic shift in the open source software industry. Second, at age 21, he was an English major who dropped out of college to pursue his dream. Third, he self-taught himself programming. Fourth, it took him 10 years to build GitHub, the largest open source software community in the world with 50 million projects. Let us meet Chris Wanstrath and his company GitHub.
That really draws people is it's a website online that you can go to and you can find software, you can share software, but not only that, you can add to it, you can change it. And so there's this really thriving community of people that are building software all over the world that are connecting through GitHub, both public software that they want to share with the world, but also private software. Some of the companies mentioned Google, Facebook, NASA. A lot of NASA's code, anyone can go see the code for some of the early Apollo missions, but I think some of the newer things they're working on you won't be able to see just quite yet. That's really what GitHub is about. It's essentially for people to collaborate on software together, and who you want to share it with is really up to you.
Chris Wanstrath was born somewhere in Ohio in 1983. This is a picture of baby Chris Wanstrath. He was a college dropout at the University of Cincinnati, where he was an English major.
I picked English. I figured whatever I did in life, I'd have to speak, read, write English. Also, I've always been really into it. I really wanted to learn more about the language. I think being someone that grew up native speaker, I didn't know anything about grammar, anything like that. So I thought it'd be a good skill to have. And then I found myself not going to school and skipping class. And instead of like doing drugs or whatever, I was programming. And so my parents were equally mad at me. I didn't get a pass, but at least I'm not doing drugs. They'd be like, I don't care. You're failing everything. You might as well do drugs. At least you're having a good time. Instead, you're just like sitting on your computer. So that was kind of what I knew, I think, right around when I was failing out of college.
So wait, so you did...
It was inspired by Wikipedia.
Were you contributing a lot to Wikipedia?
Yeah, I was contributing a lot to Wikipedia. And then Wikipedia was run on open source software called MediaWiki, which was written in PHP. And so the whole Wikipedia thing end-to-end fascinated me. You could get into the guts of it. You could participate in the community. There was all this knowledge being shared on it. So I was really, really into that. And so I started, essentially I found potentially someone who maybe could have hired me through Wikipedia. I don't know. Again, this all sounds much more shady in retrospect than it didn't feel shady at the time. But I found someone on the internet who maybe would have hired me to work on some sort of MediaWiki modification.
His first job as a programmer was at a trucking company in New Jersey. He lasted only 2 days.
I lasted 2 days. It's not an exaggeration. I was there for 2 days in New Jersey. I drove 11 hours in my VW Jetta, and I got there. And I just realized at the time, they were all mathematicians. Like, I guess trucking logistics is all about, I don't know, math. I'm not a math.
He went back to Ohio for a while. His second programming job was at CNET in San Francisco in 2005. Then he got a job as a programmer at Charles, San Francisco, but he did not get along with the foodie. In 2008, he co-founded GitHub with 2 others. This is a picture of the 3 co-founders. Chris Wanstrath was 25.
Okay, I'm Chris Wanstrath. I'm one of the co-founders of GitHub. I live in San Francisco, and I think success is whatever you make of it. The most important thing is to do what you want to do and not what other people tell you.
Preston-Werner, another college dropout, described the early days of GitHub.
So, what's interesting about GitHub is that we started as a side project. So, what's nice about a side project is that you can do it while you're working somewhere else. And the web is the perfect place to do a side project because the cost of entering is so low. You can start a side project, a website, something that interests you. You can start that today for as much as it costs a simple server. So GitHub started as an idea. I was at one of the Ruby meetups in San Francisco. I would often go to them. And I met this guy named Chris Wanstrath. And we were both using Git for some open source projects. And we kind of had a problem where we wanted to work on these projects together, but there was no good way to send the files, the repository files, back and forth, which is a big problem because the whole point of a distributed version control system is that it's easy to share and collaborate on stuff together.
GitHub succeeded for two reasons. First, the developer-first mentality. Second, the community is more important than the product.
So what is the idea for GitHub? I think there's a couple, actually. And it really boils down to people and tools. One of the things that we did when we started GitHub is we said, we're going to build this for developers. This is going to be the #1 thing we're doing. We're going to think about developers, selfishly ourselves. We're going to look at their workflows. We're not going to worry about anything except what can we build that's really great for developers. GitHub, building on top of Git, on top of Linux, on top of web browsers, it's a web application that today none of us would use. But with the community, with your feedback, with your ideas, with your code, with everything, this is really what GitHub is about. It's way more than a website. It's way more than a company. It's really a community of people that are building the future of software together. And I think the best way to be thankful to those who came before us and those that have provided opportunities for us to be where we are today is to try to give that to the next generation. And that's
now the big news. In June 2018, GitHub was acquired by Microsoft for $7.5 billion, making Chris Wanstrath and Tom Preston-Werner overnight billionaires. But isn't Microsoft the enemy of open source software?
You don't buy GitHub to make a lot of money. So the strategic benefit of GitHub for Microsoft. How closely do you have to tie it in to things like Azure, and where do you keep it arm's length in order to try to maintain that sort of open source neutral rapport with the developer community?
Yeah, the first thing, John, is when you think about what's happening in the broader world, every business is a software business, it's a digital business, whether it's precision medicine or precision agriculture, personalized education or personalized banking, is being built by developers. In fact, there's a piece of data from LinkedIn which says that non-tech hiring of software development is growing steadily at double digit, 25% greater than software engineer growth in tech. Developers are going to be required everywhere. It's a secular growth market, and Microsoft has heritage here. We were a developer tools company first, and now, of course, we are all in on open source, and that's what really brings us together with GitHub, and we're going to operate it as an open platform for any language, any framework, any platform, whether it's the cloud or on the client. Ethos of developer first that GitHub has always had. Nat Friedman, who's going to be the CEO post-close, came to Microsoft from Xamarin. He's someone who's a veteran of open source, and he's going to lead the company.
What have I learned today? 4 things. First, GitHub's creation was originally inspired by Wikipedia. Second, GitHub was co-founded by 3 geeks, 2 of whom are college dropouts. Third, GitHub's philosophy is community is more important than product. Fourth, GitHub started as a side project between Chris Wanstrath and Tom Preston-Werner. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and leave your questions and comments below. My next video will be Chris Wanstrath 9 lessons. Wishing everyone peace and prosperity.